Dear students, in today's lecture we will try to understand different important terminologies before the start of our journey into genetics, as nowadays we are trying to understand a bit about the genetics. So in today's lecture we will discuss different terminologies which we will basically study during the study of genetics. First of all, as you understand that genetics is basically the study of genes or alleles. What actually gene is basically the specific sequence of nucleotides that code for the particular proteins, and that are basically known as the genes, or that you can also say as these are the alleles. The offsprings of sexual reproduction obtain one gene of each type from each of their parent. The different forms of a gene are basically called as allele. In human beings, for instance, there are two alleles of earlobe constructions. One allele is for earlobe that are attached, while the other allele is for the earlobe that hangs free. So there are two types of alleles for the earlobe. Next important terminology which you will understand or which you will hear is the organism genome. Organism genome is basically set of all genes that specify an organism traits or characteristics which will appear during its development, that are known as the organism's genome. And after the organism genome, what important is the genotype. Genotype is basically the gene composition of living organisms. The set of all genes that specify an organism traits is known as the genome. And genome for human cell consists of about 20,000 genes. And gene composition of a living organism, as I have told, that this is known as the genotype. For a person's earlobe shape, the genotypes may consist of two alleles for attached and for free earlobes. So when these genes are expressed, the expression of these genes are known as the phenotype. Phenotype is basically the expression of the genes. For example, as I have told that there are two alleles for the earlobe. One allele is for the attached earlobe, and other is for the free earlobe. Attached or free earlobe is basically the expression of gene which is known as the phenotype. Next is the homozygous. What actually homozygous is? The two paired alleles in an organism's genotype may be identical or they may be different. An organism's condition is said to be homozygous when two identical alleles are present for the particular characteristics. When two identical alleles are present for a particular characteristic, then that type of condition is known as homozygous. But when the two alleles are different, which are for the particular characteristic, then this condition is known as the heterozygous. This condition is known as heterozygous. When there are two identical alleles, so they will express itself, or there will be no doubt about its phenotype. But when there is a different allele or heterozygous condition, then there will be a condition which is known as the dominant allele or dominance or recessiveness. When one allele expresses itself and the other doesn't, then expression is known as the dominant. Then the allele which is expressing itself is known as the dominant allele. And while the other which has overshadowed or which has overshadowed its expression, that allele is known as the recessive allele. So these are different terminologies which are very important for understanding the genetics, or that you will hear again and again during your journey in the genetics. Thank you.